After a spell of pretty poor weather, I looked out my window this morning and noticed that the sun was shining, so I thought this might be a great opportunity to get out and climb my local Munro once again. It's called a Cailleach, and it casts its kind of benevolent shadow over the village where I live. It's not a difficult hill, but sometimes in winter when the weather's been bad, you feel like a caged bear, and it's just good to get out, even if it's just your local Munro. But I'm very fortunate to have a Munro within walking distance of where I live, and that's one of the reasons I live here. So a Cailleach, I'm just heading up to a little place called the Red Bothy, where I'll have a cup of tea and then head off up what looks like pretty snowy slopes onto a Cailleach. At this time of the year, you know, down in the glen, the green's just beginning to come through, the lambs are appearing in the fields, the daffodils are swaying in the breeze. But up here, the landscape still looks pretty parched and colourless after the winter. And I'm soon going to be heading off into the monochrome world of the high tops. The Red Bothy, that's what it's known as. It's more of a wee shelter, I think, than a bothy. I can't imagine him to want to spend the night here, but I suppose in an emergency it would be absolutely ideal. It's been here for a long time, and in fact just before he died I got a wee note from Adam Watson, and he was asking if the Red Bothy's still actually standing, because the last time he saw it was in a pretty dilapidated state, but it is still standing, and it's pretty dry inside. And today it's become a kind of a sort of graffiti house. You know, people have left their names here. Going away back, if you look carefully, you'll find ones way back in the 40s. There's lots of local worthies have come up here and scratched their names on the walls as youngsters, and people now in the 50s and 60s. And there's a couple of notable names in amongst this lot. Hamish Brown, who wrote the wonderful book about the Munros, when he climbed all the Munros in one continuous expedition. And my old mate just over there, my old mate Chris Townsend, 15/7/81. So there you go. I'm just going to have a wee cup of tea here and then carry on up a Cailleach. You know, the Monolea and a Cailleach have in the past managed to get themselves a pretty bad press amongst outdoor riders. A number of years, a very good friend of mine, the late Irvin Butterfield, in a guidebook he wrote, he described the Monolea as dull and uninspiring. And I don't think I'd agree with him, but I found it quite interesting that just 3 or 4 years ago there was a big inquiry into a proposal for a wind farm in the Monolea, and almost overnight you'd think the Monolea were the most wonderful mountains in the country. Such was the outcry at the thought of putting a wind farm up here. So I suppose the threat to these places that we love sometimes just changes our attitudes towards them a wee bit. Well, here we are, the summit of a Calia, 930 metres. And I don't know about you, but this whole ongoing Brexit business is driving me absolutely bananas. I've become increasingly frustrated and depressed and angry about the whole situation. And I just thank goodness I've got a place like this on my doorstep where I can come and escape from it all. There's no doubt about it, I don't think, that the hills have a healing quality. And as far as I'm concerned, when things are looking gloomy and a bit dull and a bit depressing, and I feel a bit down, thank God there's always the hills. See you next time.